All right, we are live. All right, everybody, welcome to Extreme Life Podcast, The Weigh In. This is where we talk about combat sports. We break down sporting events. You know, today we're talking about it is going to be an awesome weekend. I mean, we just got crazy stuff going on here. We got the Showtime PBC Charlo doubleheader, which is going to be awesome. I mean, there's multiple belts up on the line. There's a unification bout that night. I mean, it's tomorrow night, coming to you from the Mohegan Sun. It's going to be filled with action. I mean, it's just a huge card. I'm here with Ray Flores. We're going to start off right there with the PBC pay-per-view event starting at 7 p.m. tomorrow night, Eastern Standard Time, coming from the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. Ray, tell me about that event, because I know you're calling it tomorrow night, and I think it's going to be an awesome show.
Yeah, I'll be calling the fight along with my brother for the international television audience. So it's two cards for the price of one, Steve. And I'm excited. I mean, you get 6 killer fights on this card. I mean, you got Jamal Charlo, who's undefeated, putting his middleweight championship of the world on the line against Sergey Deryachenko, who had over 400 amateur fights. The guy is originally from the Ukraine, now fighting out of Brooklyn under the guidance of Andre Rozier. Deryachenko, a third of his fights have been either against world champions or former world champions. He's coming off of a split decision loss against Gennady Golovkin, Triple G, as you all well know. And that was a close fight. Many people thought that Deryachenko won the fight. For Jamal Charlo, he is undefeated. He's looking to make a big statement. This is his toughest test at 160. He's a 2-division world champion. So he has his hands full against Sergey Deryachenko. His twin brother, that's younger than him by about, a couple minutes, Jermell Charlo, will square off against Jason Rosario. As you pointed out, the unification matchup, just the 8th time in history that 154 is going to be unified. And the winner of this fight between Charlo and Rosario is going to take home 3 world titles tomorrow night. And then of the 6 fights, 5 of them are world title matchups. So it is going to be a tremendous night of boxing. I think this is only the first time in history that 2 twin brothers have headlined a pay-per-view. And I think it just goes to show you that they're stars, and they were in GQ magazine last year. They're trying to become crossover stars and really, elevate their standing to being superstars within boxing and in general sports. And if they're victorious tomorrow night, I think they're certainly on their way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this card looks amazing. I mean, let's just start with the Jamal and
Charlo and Deryachenko fight.
Deryachenko fight. I mean, that looks hard to say. I keep twisting up his name, man. I keep twisting up Deryachenko's name. But, I mean, Charlo obviously comes in as the favorite. I mean, he's I think it's a minus 180 favorite to plus 155. It's a WBA middleweight title bout. I mean, this is, I think, Deryachenko's 3rd time going after that belt. And some people are saying it's the last time he'll probably have an opportunity to go after that belt. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's not. What do you think on that? I mean, you think this might be the all or nothing kind of match for him? Is this what's at stake here?
Steve, you bring up a great point, because he's 34 years old. So this is the 3rd time that he's going after a world title. Many people say 3rd time's the charm. Well, if he loses to Jamal Charlo, he's going to have to go to the back of the line again and then sort of move up again. Maybe it'll be a year and a half, maybe even 2 years at that point. 35, 36. From a boxing standpoint, that's kind of getting to being a little bit older and long in the tooth for Sergey Deryachenko. Not only that, but he had such a long amateur career with the Ukrainian national team. He was in the Olympics in 2008. This guy's been around the block and has a lot of miles on him. So he needs to come out and really pressure Jamal Charlo, and he's got to take that belt from him. But Jamal Charlo's got the
he's a monster.
Man, he's big, he's strong, he's explosive. He trains under the guidance of Ronnie Shields, who I think is one of the best trainers that we've ever seen in boxing, former trainer to Evander Holyfield, Pernell Sweet, Pete Whitaker, just to name a few legends that Ronnie has had. And Ronnie told me last week, I was actually down in Houston Monday with Jamal and Tuesday with Jermell for their respective media workouts. And I'll tell you that both guys are so locked in and in extreme, outstanding physical shape. I think we're going to get the best performances out of both Charlo brothers. But the reason why they're in tip-top shape, I mean, they always are. And this is their 2nd time headlining a card as champions. But for them, they know that it won't be an easy day at the office. So they've got to bring their A game. If not, then it could be upset city for their respective opponents.
Well, we know Derevchenko has a hell of a punch. We know he can also knock people out. I mean, he's got 13 fight and a 10 KO record. But you also got Charlo has got, he's got an amazing 30 wins, 22 by knockout. So, I mean, it's just, it's going to be an exciting fight.
One of his signature wins came against Julian Williams. That was back a few years ago, and he landed a vicious right uppercut that put Julian Williams out, and then he would subsequently go on to finish him. So Jermall Charlo has a tremendous punch. He's also a student of the game, likes to work off the jab, but he can pop, make no mistake about it. Both guys are going to come and try to dictate the center of the ring. The question is, who's going to have to go backwards? And that is what I'm looking forward to in seeing this fight develop tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great fight, and it's like and then you got his brother Jermell, who's also just a monster. I mean, he comes out, and that's a super welterweight unification fight against Rosario, and both guys are also killers.
Well, Jason Rosario, speaking of being a quote unquote killer in parentheses. He went to Philadelphia and yeah, air quotes. He went to Philadelphia January 18th of this year, and he ripped away those titles against Julian Williams, who was the champion at the time. And Rosario, this is only the second time in his career that he's had a full training camp. Before that, he was splitting his time, being down in the Dominican Republic. He had family duties. Now, prior to the fight with Julian Williams, he spent his time secluded in his own training camp, just focused on boxing. And he said that I've heard reports, I've read things that he's even better and stronger in this fight compared to his win over Julian Williams. And he looked unbelievable in the victory over Julian Williams, overwhelming him with power punches, straight shots. This guy can pop. He calls himself the banana. And the reason why is because he says he gets his punching power from eating bananas. So go figure on that one.
So did they hand him bananas after the fight or what?
I just did eat bananas after a training session. I mean, it's a good form of potassium.
Oh, yeah, it's great recovery food, man. I'm a guy who's a workout fanatic. So, I'll tell you, it's bananas. They used to give them out. We used to run a lot of races, and they'd give them out like right at the finish line of races because it's such a good recovery food because it's got just a good quality to it to help people get their lactic acid back down and, just start to recover. So, yeah, that's great. So they call him the banana.
Yeah, they call him, Jason Banana Rosario. And he's taking on, Jermell Charlo, who is just really, really focused and dialed in. I mean, Jermell Charlo has only one loss, and that was disputed against Tony Harrison. He went on to rectify that loss in his last outing when he went ahead and reclaimed his world title, the WBC Super Welterweight title, in December of last year, and he finished off Tony Harrison. So Charlo is extremely focused and understands the kind of problems that Rosario can bring to him. He's trained under the guidance of Derek James, who is the trainer of Errol Spence, junior welterweight champion of the world as well. So Charlo has a wonderful trainer as well, and I think this is going to be a heck of a matchup tomorrow night at 154.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and like you said, it's going to be a unification bout between three belts. So it's going to be, I think it's the WBA, WBC, and the IBF, right?
That is correct. Yeah, absolutely. I love it, Steve.
So it's going to be a good, I'm you know what? I'm torn, man. I'm torn tomorrow night. I don't know what the hell to do because I got so much going on.
I mean, listen, you have a full day, full night of combat sports. Just sit down, relax. I mean, we really can't go anywhere in the United States, but that's another topic for another day. So
you and I could go on about that.
Yeah. But, hopefully everyone's safe and sound and just enjoy these world-class prize fighters, get after it. And then, Steve, you got 5 world title fights on the card. I talked about the 2, but you have, Brandon Figueroa in action, taking on Damian Vasquez. Yep. Figueroa from Weslaco, Texas. He's a body punching sensation, 23 years of age. And then to open up the first portion of the card, we got the Filipino in John Riel Casimero, who's a world champion at 118 pounds. He was supposed to be fighting Naoya Inoue in unification matchup. Due to COVID, that fight got delayed, and then it just wasn't able to happen for some reason or another. Enter Duke Micah, who is an undefeated Ghanaian who's hoping to become the 9th fighter from Ghana to become a world champion. Micah's undefeated, 24-0, 19 knockouts. That should be a heck of a fight. Then to begin the second portion of the pay-per-view, former unified bantamweight champion of the world, or super bantamweight champion of the world, Daniel Roman squares off against former champion Juan Carlos Payano. Payano's former champion, athletic, from the Dominican Republic as well. The co-main event of the second card is Luis Neri, who's undefeated, 30-0, 24 knockouts. The kid loves to rip your head off. Now fighting at 122, former titleist at 118. He squares off against Aaron Alameda. What's interesting about that fight, Neri said if he's successful, that he wants to fight the winner of the Brandon Figueroa, Damian Vasquez fight. Likely, though, if it's Figueroa, he wants that matchup. So we might be looking ahead towards a matchup between Luis Neri and Brandon Figueroa in the future.
Yeah, well, I mean, looking at that card, I mean, and looking at their stats as well, I mean, it's going to be one of those guys is going to walk out of there with a loss. Neither of us lost a fight yet. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, it's you got Neri with 30 wins and 24 of those by knockout, and you got Alameda with 25 wins and 13 KOs. So somebody tomorrow is going to have a blemish on their record.
That's so true. And you know what? They're both Mexican, Steve. And I tell you this about boxing. When you get two Mexican boxers, two warriors going at it, oh boy, they're not going to want to take a step back because nationalistic pride is on the line. You better believe that.
Oh, yeah. They want to be the hometown hero, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. And, you know, the defeat is not an option. So it's going to be promising to be it's going to be a killer night. It's just going to be a killer night. And then on the other side of that, we have UFC.
Yeah, man, I mean, it's loaded, Steve.
It's loaded. So we got UFC 253 happening tomorrow night too, with another stacked card. I mean, we got, you know, Paulo Costa, you know, and
against Israel Adesanya.
That's right. Some reason I brain farted there, but yeah,
no.
It's going to be an incredible night. I mean, those two guys. I mean, you got Israel Adesanya, who's you know, more of a you know, technical fighter. He's a tactician, and then you got Costa, who's just he's going to come in and punch.
He's nuts. That's the only way I can really describe Costa. He's nuts. I mean, I saw a video of him when Adesanya, I forgot, in Adesanya's last victory. That was you know, that was the night that Usman smashed and Colby Covington. And Adesanya, I believe that's the same night, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So Adesanya had he beat Yoel Romero. And I think after the fight was over, Paulo Costa, I don't know if you heard this story, but Costa was in the audience, right? And then he just starts going crazy for some reason. Dana White actually pointed this out in the post-fight press conference that night. And Costa just started going
because they were yelling at each other from
they were yelling at each other.
Yeah.
Nuts. Like he was like getting so amped up and wired, and security had to escort him out and stuff. And even at the post-fight presser, Costa walked in the room there outside of T-Mobile, and he was still fired up. It's like, this guy is mentally crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And lo and behold, he gets his opportunity to fight Israel Adesanya. But you know what I like about Adesanya, Steve, is he's so relaxed. Cool, and he's like the Matrix, bro. I mean, man, oh man, his movements, how fluid he is. I mean, look, the one thing I'll say about Dana White is he's like, well, I don't know about the walkouts, whatever. Come on, Dana. Let these guys just be. Why are you policing them? Whatever. Like, I don't believe in policing what someone says. I don't believe in policing these guys' walkouts, whatever. Just let them be. Stop saying, okay, you could say whatever you want, but you can't go ahead and have an elaborate, you know, octagon entrance, whatever. It's not hurting them. It only adds to the show.
Yeah, no, it's you know, a big part of this is the showmanship, right? The coming out and some of these guys know this really well. I when I see guys act like that, sometimes I'm wondering, is this like them just trying to really amp up the show, or is this really their feeling? And sometimes it's really their feeling. Sometimes they're really just genuinely pissed off and crazy about fighting somebody. And other times I think, you know, hey, is this kind of going almost a little bit of WWE kind of stuff where they're amping up the fight, you know, which is, you know, fine too. I mean, everybody wants to see that, right? People love a grudge match. They love, you know, when you walk into a fight, you know, I think, you know, hey, it's all fine and good when guys come in and they shake hands and they're all, you know, they're friends on the outside and stuff. But I think people really pay attention when you got two guys that legitimately want to knock each other's heads off.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and look at what Israel Adesanya did to Robert Whittaker when he had that amazing entrance in Australia at the Land Down Under with almost 60,000 plus. And he went ahead and I mean, he's a dancer, right? He's a former dancer and had his whole dance crew. And I mean, the moves that he was doing even before the fight, I'm like, man, is this guy going to burn himself out? Nope. Because he went ahead and he beat Robert Whittaker, and that's not easy either.
No, not at all. And I mean, I keep thinking strategy on this. I mean, where do you go with strategy on between Adesanya and Acosta? I mean, I think, Paulo Costa is just going to come at him and try to just get him up against the cage and just try to pummel him.
His head off?
Yeah, he's just going to pummel him. He's going to try. But you also got to remember, we're back at Fight Island now. So we're back in Abu Dhabi. We got the bigger cage.
Yeah.
It frees it up a little bit for these guys to move around a little more. So now, does that give a little bit of an edge to Adesanya as well? So, I mean, in my opinion, I think Adesanya wants to stay on the outside. He wants to stick and move and just drive some shots and then frustrate Acosta until he gets an opportunity to take him out.
You're 100% on the button, Steve, in the sense that Adesanya's got to keep him at bay, keep him at the end of his punches, maintain his distance. And when Costa comes forward, tie him up and then flip him around the cage, push off, and then use your distance, use your reach, kicks, go to the body with some body punches. Well, the thing about Adesanya is he has a nice long reach, so he could dig to the body. I want to see some shots to the body by Adesanya. He's extremely athletic. He's not easy to hit. So Costa's going to have to get on the inside one way, shape, or the other. But if he does and he lands a big shot, it could be night-night because Costa is one of those guys that has just concussive knockout power. But what I wonder about Costa, though, is this is a 5-round fight, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Is Costa one of those guys that is just a fast starter and then has nothing in the middle of the third, heading into the fourth and fifth? That's a different level when it comes to being a world-class prize fighter. What do you have left in those championship rounds?
Yeah. I mean, do you have anything left in the tank? Do you blow it all out? I mean, that's the thing. And we see that a lot, right? You see guys come out and we just saw it last week with UFC where it was 2 fights where people came out and they came out hot and, we're like, oh, they're going to take this dude. It's going to be a quick fight. And then it ends up going into the later rounds. And you end up, getting gassed out, and then, the fight goes the other way. So, it could go either way. I think the best thing Costa needs to do is come in there and try to hope for an early knockout if he can get it. And Adesanya needs to dance.
He needs to keep him at bay, pepper him a little bit, size him up, go to the body, frustrate him because, the one thing Adesanya cannot do, though, is he can't be – He did enough to beat Romero and frustrated him, but Romero didn't do much either. So I look at Adesanya, he's got to be a little more offensive in this fight against Paulo Costa because Costa is going to make you fight. So Adesanya has got to establish himself early, get into a rhythm. If not, Costa is going to gain confidence. And as he walks forward, then that's even more dangerous because you already know that this guy believes in his power. If he knows you can't hurt him, it's even worse for you.
Oh, yeah, because then he's just going to have no fear. He's just going to come in and just push you hard.
Exactly.
As long as he can.
Yeah.
That's the question.
That's the key.
How long can he keep that up? But and then we have another, the co-main event. Dominic Reyes versus Blanchowicz.
Yeah.
Great fight. A lot of us thought, Dominic Reyes might have beaten John Jones.
Yep. I was one of those guys.
Yes. So, I mean, what do you think about this fight? I mean, it's going to be another great fight. 2 great fighters. We know, and there's some talk about, this fight where, we know both of these guys have knockout power. We know they have it. However, there's some people who are saying that the people they came up against that they knocked out may have been a bit chinny. I don't know if that's true. I don't think so. I'm not going to say that. I think both of these guys are valid potential champions. In my opinion, Dominic Reyes, probably should have won the John Jones fight just the way I scored it. And that's just me scoring it from here. But, I think that was, and I think you definitely follow the same.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm totally with you. I think that Dominic Reyes should be the undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world right now based on his performance against John Jones. in his last fight. I think this is Dominic Reyes' fight to lose, in my opinion, in the sense that I think that Reyes has fought better competition. I think he has more in his arsenal. I think he's a more complete fighter. And I think that Dominic Reyes is going to have his moment tomorrow night. And I think it's so well deserved. The kid is in great condition. The kid has very good wrestling. He's got pop behind his punches. I think he has underrated Muay Thai as well. I think that we see Dominic Reyes go out and steamroll his opponent tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has to. I think he needs to go out there and really make a dent and make a statement. I think it's a statement fight for him, and it is a light heavyweight championship fight. So, you know, I mean, let's see what happens. I mean, you know, it's gonna be an exciting night, I think, on both areas. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna be doing your thing and checking in on UFC?
Yeah, so I think if I'm correct, like the UFC's on early.
Yeah, it starts at 6 p.m. With the early prelims.
Oh, it starts at 6. Okay, I thought it started earlier in the day is what it was. I thought it was early in the day.
You know what? I may be wrong. I just that may be the wrong information. So
okay,
if you're listening,
I thought it started.
Yeah.
Either way, I'll find a way either afterwards or before. And also, hey Steve, I got to tell you, man, one thing I don't know why I forgot this. So on my, I think you liked it as well. On my Instagram page, what we're going to do an hour before the pay-per-view, we're going to have a virtual pre-fight reception for the fans. And it's on my Instagram page, SBR Flores. You are invited. All you have to do is send an email, and then you're going to get a Zoom link. So what we're going to do is we're going to have 1 hour before the pay-per-view. So that's 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific time. We're going to, I'm going to be hosting it along with my dear friend, the promoter for tomorrow night's event. She's the vice president of TGB Promotions, Brittany Goosen-Brown. Her and I are very close. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be interviewing different fighters and having a cocktail reception. I won't be drinking because I'm going to be calling the fight.
You're going to be working.
I'll be.
It might make it in. You should do. No, I'm not even going to say
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to be calling the fight for the international. But an hour before, I'm going to be hosting a pre-fight cocktail reception where we're going to have fighters on like Chris Arreola, a former, he's a heavyweight contender. Yeah. Also, Anthony Durrell, Chris Colbert, Leo Santa Cruz will be in the main event next month on pay-per-view against Gervonta Davis. Chris Colbert, a champion at 130 pounds from Brooklyn. Anthony Durrell, Chris Arreola, Mikey Garcia, 4-division world champion. So we're going to have a pre-fight reception with fans from all over the world. All you have to do, follow me on Instagram, SBR Flores. I got the flyer up. Email that link or email the email that's on there. And then they'll send you a Zoom link and be a part of the virtual cocktail reception. If you have any questions, if you have comments, by all means, an hour before the pay-per-view tomorrow night, very much open to the fans. We're about making sure that you, the fans, are taken care of, are excited, and you get an opportunity to talk with some of the world's best boxers an hour before Showtime pay-per-view.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and make sure, you know what, send me that again. I'm sure I liked it. But send that to me again, and I'll put that out there so we make sure everybody gets it, and we get it out. That's really cool, man. That's exciting. I've never seen it. I haven't seen anybody doing that yet, so that might be something new. You guys might have started that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's something. The thing is that look, I'm going to tell you this, Steve. I miss fans. I miss the media. I miss all of you people. I mean, it's not the same. I love the fact watching these guys perform at a high level, but I miss the fans. I miss the energy. I miss the passion from the fans. I miss the passion from the media. This is our way in this interesting world, this unique world that we are now living in, in COVID-19, of us sort of connecting individually with you, the fans, because without the fans, without the media, combat sports wouldn't survive. So it's almost a small thank you as to say, hey, look, we can't have you in the building. It sucks. We're not happy about it just like you are, but we're about safety first. But this is our way to kind of get everybody together in a digital way to be able to make sure that we're all unified and all enjoying ourselves on fight night.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. That's definitely, and I think a lot of promotions are trying to figure out ways to involve people because, it's one of those, I think any sport, you need the fans to be able to participate in some way. And what's going on now has made that very difficult,
Yeah, and the fans are the lifeblood of what we do. I mean, without the fans, we are nothing. I am thankful for every single fan all over the world. You have a very good following all over the place. And I'm thankful to you, to what you do on a consistent basis. And, this is very important for us to be able to say a small token of our appreciation. Like I said, I'll send you the flyer if you can post it and email the link, be a part of it tomorrow night, an hour before the pay-per-view. We'd love to have all of you part of this.
Absolutely. And I will make sure I get that out tonight. So that people can, I'll put that out on all my medium that I have and make sure it gets out there, because I think that's really cool, man. And the events are going to be really cool. So we got all kinds. This is going to be a crazy weekend with events happening once again. It seems like you and I usually when we do this show here, usually it's like right before a crazy weekend of multiple nutty events going on.
Seriously, you're gonna have to get your workout in at like 7 a.m. tomorrow, bro.
Yeah, I gotta double check, man, if I got that time wrong, because I don't want to miss the early. Because there's some interesting stuff even on the early prelims. There's a couple guys on the bubble that, when you're looking at this card, lost a few fights coming into this, and this is a need to win thing, right? Now, if you lost 3 fights in a row in the UFC, it's time to win, because if you don't win at this point, who knows what Dana's going to do next? Maybe your walking papers. So
yeah, absolutely.
So there's a few guys, and then there's another exciting fight, real quick. Diego Sanchez and Jake Matthews.
Oh man, I love Diego Sanchez.
So do I. He's just a character.
Man, you've been in the, remember him from the Ultimate Fighter season 1. He won the Ultimate Fighter season 1. Unbelievable.
First season. Yeah. And I don't even remember what year was that.
You see that Conor McGregor, I guess, said that, either Conor said he's fighting Pacquiao next, or then he also said that he wants to fight Diego Sanchez next. So I don't know what Connor's thinking, but
Connor's
whatever
all over the place. Connor's all over the place, man. I mean, it's just interesting to see where that's going to go. I think everybody wants to see the rematch between him and Habib, but I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. I mean, according to Habib, he won't fight him until Conor wins a few fights, and Conor beat Cowboy, but he's got to go back out and do some more stuff. And Conor looks bigger than he's ever looked, at least in that fight he did.
He looked strong. He
looked very strong. He looked like he was living well and taking care of himself. But that stuff goes up and down and all over the place. So we'll see what he does for the next fight. And hopefully we might see that rematch down the road. I don't know, or Masvidal. I'd like to see him and Masvidal.
Oh man, him and Masvidal, I think would be savage central. Man, oh man, would that be unbelievable?
Yeah, no, Masvidal is definitely.
Hey, you know who I want to see Masvidal fight? I want to see Masvidal fight Covington. That's the fight I want to see. I have no interest. And maybe I'm in minority here, but I have no interest in seeing Covington and Usman fight. Like, look, I don't care. And the one thing I'll tell you is this: I don't care. Whatever people's political opinions are, I don't care, because that's, whatever. Everyone's all over the place. It's none of my business. You're a fighter. I judge you by your performance. Covington looked really, really good against Woodley. But the fact that he's calling out Usman, like Steve, I'm going to editorialize this a little bit if you'll let me.
Go ahead, man.
Usman broke your jaw.
Yeah.
He punished you like you were a bloody mess. He shut your mouth. Yeah. Like you couldn't open up your mouth. And then you're talking about early stoppage, this and that. I'd say this about Colby Covington. I'd say it about Tyron Woodley. I'd say it about Robbie Lawler. I'd say it about anybody. But what is he doing? Like, you got destroyed by Usman.
And he'll get destroyed again. I have no doubt that he will get this. And I'm looking forward to it, because I'm not a fan of Colby Covington, to be honest with you. I think he's a great fighter. I think he does a lot of things really well. But when he starts running his mouth, his brain kind of gets a little wired wrong, I think.
Well, and I think it's very forced, in my opinion, Steve. I think it's very forced. I don't think it's organic. I don't mind organic stuff. But I see through that a mile away, him having all the girls, this and that. That guy has zero game whatsoever. That's a fact when it comes to.
Sounds like you're calling out Colby Covington.
I'm just like, come on, man! Like all this nonsense and stuff like that. If that's natural, fine. But come on, the fight to make is him and Masvidal. Why? Because that's real beef. The fact that, and the story that Masvidal doesn't like what happened with AT&T, or with ATT. I'm thinking AT&T, but at ATT down in Florida in Coconut Creek. The fact that Masvidal said that, Covington didn't take care of his trainers and stuff. Covington said, look, I was whipping up on everybody at AT&T. I outgrew that. gym, so I had to go about my way. They both have very unique stories and perspectives on what went down there. So my whole thing is, well, you know what? Let's put them together.
Yeah, let's settle it.
I mean, let's just settle it. Like, that's real beef, natural disdain for one another. Like I said, I respect that guy to Covington's fighting style. I just don't agree with some of his, like, you know, the whole girl stuff and how he, you know, calling out Usman. It's like, come on, man. Like, you know, one more big win and then I understand, but not right after you beat Tyron Woodley, who I think is very much long in the tooth.
Yeah, well, Usman, yeah, you're right. I mean, absolutely. And Usman was kind of laughing it off. Did you watch that whole thing at the end?
Well, I did. Usman's all like, you know, he's all like, did I break your jaw? Did I shut your mouth and stuff? And again, Steve, like,
he said he has to make him stop moving. That's what he said. He's word for word. He said, "What do I got to make you stop moving?"
I mean, Steve, the thing is, everyone's so hot right now and very much animated when it comes to the situation that we're in our country, both with COVID-19 and the social unrest. But I'm literally talking from a pure competition standpoint. He hasn't earned the right to fight Usman in his next fight. But what he has earned is that fight with Masvidal. I think him and Masvidal, man, oh, man. And then the winner of that fight, then give him the title shot. Then I'm like, hey, now it's good to go. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I'd love to see Masvidal Covington fight. And then whatever happens after that, hey, they get the title fight. I mean, you know,
what do they need Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard for? Why don't you and I go ahead and maybe do some matchmaking for the UFC on the side?
Hey, I'm good with that, man. Hey, you hear that, Dana White? Me and Ray Flores are going to come and do some matchmaking for you. But no, I mean, I think, you know, hey, if Dana is listening or anybody over there is listening, make that fight happen because you know what? That is probably the fight to watch. You know, there's, you know, and we were talking about that earlier. You want to see that fight. Everybody pays attention when there's real beef going on.
Yeah.
People actually like, that's why everybody tuned into Conor McGregor and
Aldo.
Adolf, you know, and just about everybody Conor fights, actually, he starts a beef with, but that's why people, what do you think made him the highest paid UFC fighter in history? You know,
exactly.
Because he put on that show and he started beef with every single person that he came in contact with. And what happened was he ended up going out there and you know, it would go, you know, went his way for a long time. But you know what? That came to an end. But, you know, that's why people tune in to see it. People tune in because there's real beef there. And they want to see who's going to take it. It's
real emotion. It's real dislike for the others. I mean, it's not like you're fabricating this stuff. And like I said, I mean, some of the antics that Covington says in his how he likes to go ahead and rip people, whatever. I'm like, man, that is so corny, bro. Like, you went to the cornball dictionary and started writing some of this nonsense. But the fight with Masvidal and him, that is real hatred. And Masvidal is a real dude. He'll tell you, look, I like you or I don't. And he doesn't like Covington. Covington doesn't like him. For me, I'm like, okay, let's just make it happen.
Perfect fight. It's a perfect match. Perfect match. And I happen to like Masvidal a lot. I just like the way he carries himself. I like the way he does things. I like the way he gets in the ring and he goes about business. You know, so you know, obviously my money would be on Masvidal on that one.
Well, he's a savage. Steve, I don't know if you remember, but do you remember when Jorge Masvidal? Because I've been around MMA for probably over 15 years, but I remember when Masvidal was fighting at Bodog Fight Series on the beaches in Costa Rica. You remember those days?
Yeah. He was fighting with oh god damn it, the big guy who passed away. What was his name? There's a whole thing, man. He was fighting with
Kimbo Slice. Yeah,
Kimbo Slice. Yeah. I don't know why. I'm having a lot of brain farts tonight, but no, Kimbo Slice, man. He's the one who actually got Masvidal into it. Right.
Yep.
If you know the story. I mean,
absolutely.
You know, Kimbo,
down in Miami.
Yeah. Kimbo was fighting in all these backyard parties and he said, hey, why the hell am I the only one fighting? I know this kid. He called up Masvidal and they all started, you know, he's like, I want to watch a fight too. And, you know, and that's where the whole thing kind of took off. But, you know, they've been around, you know, Masvidal's been around a long time. I mean, he's got some real, you know, real stuff to bring to the table on that fight. I mean,
he's just a natural fighter, Steve. And that's the thing. And it's funny when he knocked out Askren about a little over a year ago. and people, and I saw some casual fans. They were like,
I think
"Oh my
Askren's
God,
still waking up on.
you know, who's this man? Yeah, Askren's still asleep, and they're like, "Who's this Masvidal guy? This and that." And then he goes ahead, and he went ahead and he beat Leon Edwards, I believe, and then followed it up with the win over Askren, and then beat Nate Diaz at MSG for the BMF title. But it's like, we've known Masvidal for over 15 years.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy to see this guy's success, even though he lost his world title fight the last time. But now with him and Covington kind of around fighting in the same kind of time period from it, Masvidal fought in July. Covington's fight, fought last week. So they're only 2 months apart. Let's make this fight happen and settle the score.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, where I'd like to see it go, man. But yeah, I mean, that's, that fight with Askren, that was one of the ones that kind of, I think, made everybody pay attention to Masvidal, because he's been around a long time, and people were kind of like on the, he was on the fringes a little bit. And then all of a sudden he comes out, and that I think it was what 5 seconds?
Something the fastest knockout in UFC history with that flying knee.
Yeah, it was just time. I mean, he knew Askren as a wrestler was going to go for the shoot. He went for the shoot, and he just jumped with that flying knee and caught him. And Askren, I mean, I remember that he was out for a while.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he was. He was like an ironing board, man. It was just like, whoa.
Oh, he went flat. It's the term, he put the starch in the term starched, because
yes, he did.
Literally, he was stiff as a board, dropped straight down. But yeah, that would be a great fight, no doubt. But anyway, Ray, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Make sure you send that stuff over.
We'll do.
I think we covered a lot. We covered everything that I pretty much had on my agenda, and even more, because I didn't expect to talk about Masvidal and Covington tonight. But hey,
I think great minds think alike.
That's it, man. It's all good stuff. That's definitely, yeah. So, but yeah, thank you again for coming on. I appreciate it, man. Have a great night. Looking forward to tomorrow. Check it out, everybody. Tomorrow night, you got pay-per-view, Showtime. Multiple belts on the line with PBC Boxing, the Charlo doubleheader, twin brothers who are fighting on the same card, double headlining that same card, both champions, both incredible knockout power, 63 wins between the two of them.
Man, it's crazy when you say that, Steve, it fires me up. I'm like, yeah.
Between the two of them, 63 victories. I mean, I'll do the math on the knockouts later, but that was just a real quick one in my head. See, it's the brain's starting to wake up a little bit, but hey, it's going to be a great night. Then UFC. You got UFC. So you got your choice of poisons tomorrow night with some great cards, real stacked cards. So check it out. And check us out on the way in again. We'll be back in the next couple of weeks probably. So, so thank you and have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Have a
good night, Ray.
You got it, bro.